pause and take a deep breath. Reflect just for a moment on how many times you've whispered to yourself, "Thing is missing in my life." Maybe it's a better job, deeper love, more success, a clearer purpose, or simply inner peace. Through the park, it's a common thought. We all have it. But what if that thought is not a truth? Through the park. What if it's a story you've been unconsciously telling yourself for years? This feeling that something's missing doesn't always come from reality. It often comes from comparisons, conditioned beliefs, or false expectations. We compare our lives to idealized versions on social media, to others' achievements through the park, or to a version of ourselves we haven't yet become. And every time we do that, the park, we unintentionally reinforce the belief that we are incomplete, that our current state isn't enough. But this belief is a construction of the mind. It's not fact. It's not written in stones. It's not even permanent. Truth is that you made it up, not out of ignorance, but out of habit. The mind has been trained to seek more, to achieve more, to always be a step ahead. While this can push us to grow, it can also blind us to what's already present and powerful within us. Right now, in this very breath, nothing is missing. You are alive. You have the ability to reflect, to shift, to connect, and to grow. You are not broken or behind. You are simply human, experiencing the ebb and flow of thoughts. But the moment you stop and question that nagging feeling of lack, you begin to reclaim your holiness. It's important to understand that thoughts are not always the truth. Just because your mind says you're not enough doesn't mean it's real. Thoughts are shaped by emotions, environment, past wounds, and future fears. They come and go like clouds, but the sky, your awareness, remains unchanged. When you see this, you begin to live from a deeper place. So instead of asking, "What's missing in my life?" ask, "Who taught me to believe I am not complete? Who told you that fulfillment comes later, or that you must chase it endlessly? What if they were wrong? What if you've had what you needed all along?" Gratitude brings this clarity through the park. When you look around and see even the simplest things, your breath, your resilience, your ability to feel, you begin to understand that life isn't lacking. The absence was in your awareness, not in your reality. You are whole, running through the park. You always were. You don't need to be fixed, saved, or made new. You simply need to see through the illusion that something's missing. Once you do, you won't just feel better, you'll be free. Free to live without chasing. Free to enjoy what already is, because nothing's missing. You just made that up. Sometimes the mind becomes your greatest trickster. It whispers doubts in subtle ways. It tells you that you are not quite there yet that something essential is still out of reach. Maybe it's a relationship you think you lack, a purpose that still seems unclear, or a peace you've been waiting to feel. That little voice inside keeps nudging you, saying something's not right. Something's missing, and without realizing it, you start living as if that thought is the truth. But what if it's not? What if that belief that something is missing is nothing more than a story your mind created? The human mind is designed to analyze, plan, solve, and imagine. These are powerful tools. But when left unchecked, the mind also creates problems that don't exist. It convinces you that happiness lies in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next version of you. And in that search, you begin to lose sight of the present, of what's already here. You stop seeing your current life as complete and instead see it as an unfinished draft. But here's something worth considering running through the park. What if it's already whole? What if nothing is truly missing and it's only the mind that tells you otherwise? You see, every time you think through the "I'll be complete" wang, you reinforce the idea that you are not enough right now. That mindset puts happiness on hold. It makes contentment conditional. And worst of all, It puts you in a constant state of becoming rather than being. But life doesn't happen in the next moment. It happens now. Your breath, your presence, running through the park, your awareness, these are not things you're waiting for. They are with you already. It takes courage to challenge the idea that something is missing. Because for a long time, that belief might have been your motivation. It may have pushed you to work harder or strive for more. But if that belief also made you feel unworthy, anxious, or lost running through the park, it's time to let it go. Because it was never about what you lacked. It was about what you couldn't see. When you shift your focus from absence to presence, everything changes. Running through the park, you begin to notice the small but powerful moments that make life whole. The silence between words, the strength behind your struggles, the kindness in your heart, the resilience in your steps. You stop searching for pieces outside yourself and start recognizing the completeness within. Nothing is missing. Not just a motivational line. It's a truth waiting to be discovered. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not lacking. You simply believe the story that was never yours to begin with. And now that you see that, you can finally return home to yourself, through the park, to this moment, to the fullness of your being. You don't need to find what's missing. You only need to remember that you made that up. Throughout life, we're taught to reach, to strive, to chase. From childhood, the messages are consistent. Aim higher, become better, do more. While growth is essential, there's a quiet danger hidden beneath this way of living, the belief that who you are right now is not enough. Somehow something is missing, that you need to become more, acquire more, or change something about yourself in order to feel complete. Here's the truth that many never pause long enough to realize: nothing is missing. You just made that up. It's running through the park. This missingness is subtle. It doesn't always shout. Often it hides behind everyday thoughts. I'll be happy when I lose weight. If I had more money, I'd feel secure. Once I find the right partner, I'll feel complete. These are common ideas repeated silently day after day. But behind every one of these thoughts is the same assumption: something is wrong with me or my life as it is. And this assumption is rarely questioned. What if you did question it? What if you asked yourself, what if this thought isn't true? What if the peace, worthiness, and happiness you're seeking aren't missing at all, simply buried under layers of doubt and conditioning? The moment you begin to examine these thoughts, the moment you treat them as possibilities instead of facts, you start to take back your power. The mind is brilliant at inventing stories, and it often invents lack where there is none. Creates a gap between where you are and where you should be. But that should is an illusion, a moving target created by society, social media, and comparison. And if you chase it blindly, you spend your entire life running after something you already have in a different form. To live fully, you must learn to challenge the mind, running through the noticing when it tells you something's missing. Then pause and ask, what is actually missing right now? Park in this exact moment. Most times you'll realize that you are safe, you are breathing, and you are more capable than you believed. The story of lack begins to dissolve when you meet the present moment with clarity instead of judgment. It is in stillness, not in struggle, that you often rediscover what you've been searching for. Not out there in the world, but within yourself, in your awareness, running through the park, your ability to feel, and your quiet strength. When you no longer let the mind convince you that something essential is missing, you stop chasing shadows. You return to what's real and you begin to live. You are not incomplete. You are not waiting to become whole. You already are. That feeling of not enough. You made that up, and the moment you see through it, you're free. Free to live without fear, to running raw without pressure, and to breathe in the truth that nothing was ever missing, only misunderstood. It's easy to believe that fulfillment lies somewhere just beyond your current reality. You might think, if only I had more time, more money, grew the pack, more clarity, more support, then life would finally feel complete. Inner dialogue, that sense of something being absent, can quietly shape your decisions, your emotions, even your identity. The pack. But pause and ask yourself, is something truly missing? Or have you simply come to believe that is? Through the pack, much of our suffering doesn't come from what's happening around us. It comes from the thoughts we believe about ourselves and our lives. One of the most convincing thoughts is this: you're not there yet, that you're lacking something vital, and until you get it, you won't feel whole. This belief can follow you for years, even decades, convincing you that peace is in the next step, the next achievement, through the park, the next transformation. But what if you step back from that chase, running through the park? What if you took a moment to realize that the belief in your incompleteness isn't a fact, it's a habit. It's a story, and not all stories are true. From the time we're young, we're told to fix ourselves, improve, become someone greater. But in the process, we often forget to appreciate who we already are. That forgetfulness creates a void, not a real void, but a perceived one. You begin to feel that life, or even you yourself, is lacking, and you unknowingly feed that feeling with more doubt, more goals, more effort to be enough. Yet what if enough isn't something to be earned, but something to be realized? Right now, in this very moment, everything you need to feel whole already exists within you. Not because life is perfect, not because you've achieved all your goals, because you are conscious. You are capable of presence, of self-awareness, of gratitude, of growth. These inner resources are more valuable than anything external, and they're already yours. When you stop searching for what's missing, running through the park, you make space to appreciate what's present. And in that space, something powerful happens. You stop resisting your life and you begin participating in it fully. You move from a mindset of lack to one of sufficiency. You stop measuring yourself by what you don't have and start seeing yourself through what you do have. Strength, awareness, resilience, running the park, kindness. This shift is not about complacency, it's about clarity. When you realize that nothing is truly missing, park, you don't stop growing. You grow with freedom, not fear. You evolve not because you're broken, but because you're ready. So remember this, that feeling of absence, of lack of, not there yet. That's not reality. A belief you've repeated so often it started to feel like truth, but it's not. You made that up, and now you can let it go, running through the park. Because nothing's missing. You've simply forgotten what's already here. There comes a time when you must stop and question the voice inside your head that keeps insisting something is missing. That quiet whisper can be so convincing. It tells you you're not complete yet. There's a piece of the puzzle still out there. It could be a job title, a relationship, a physical transformation, or a sense of purpose. But have you ever noticed how that running through the park, even after achieving one thing, that feeling of something more returns? It creeps in again, telling you you still don't have it. That's not coincidence. That's conditioning. We've been trained to look at life as a ladder. You climb each rung believing that the higher you go, the closer you'll get to feeling whole. But that model assumes you're not whole now. It assumes you're starting from lack. And that assumption is rarely questioned. What if it's not true? What if nothing is actually missing, and the only thing missing is your recognition of what already exists? This isn't about denying the desire for growth or ambition. It's about examining whether those desires are coming from inspiration or insecurity. If you're constantly chasing completion outside of yourself, it's like running on a treadmill. Lots of motion, but no arrival. The destination keeps moving and so does your peace. True fulfillment doesn't live at the finish line. It lives where you are, when you allow yourself to be fully present with what is. The mind is quick to point out what's lacking, but slow to recognize what's already here. It's wired to protect, to predict, to push, but not necessarily to appreciate. You must train it gently but firmly to see the whole picture. Start by noticing the simple things, the breath you didn't earn, the heartbeat you don't control, the small victories you've already achieved. Begin to look at your life through the lens of sufficiency, not scarcity. When you do that, something begins to shift. You realize you are not behind in life. You are not broken. You are not late. You are in process. And that process is not missing any parts. The fear of incompleteness begins to lose its grip, running through the park, and in its place comes something quieter but stronger contentment. A grounded awareness that you are already enough, even as you continue to evolve. This awareness doesn't mean you stop growing through the park. It means you grow without believing you're unworthy until you arrive. You begin to move forward, not to fix yourself in through the park, but to express yourself more fully. That is the difference between struggling to become and allowing yourself to unfold. So, the next time your mind tells you something is missing, pause and ask, is that really true? Or is that just a thought I've believed for too long? The answer may surprise you, because often running through the park, you'll find that nothing was ever missing, except your awareness of how complete you already are. And once you see that, you'll know you made that up. There is a quiet illusion that follows many people through life. The belief that something is missing doesn't always show up in loud, dramatic ways. Sometimes it's just a quiet ache, a vague dissatisfaction, persistent sense that something's off. It hides in the thoughts that say, I should be further by now, or if only I had what they have. This feeling is so common that it starts to seem normal, running through the park. But here's the truth, it's not based on reality. It's based on a narrative, one that says you're incomplete as you are, one that you didn't choose but inherited and repeated, and one that you have the power to release the moment you realize you made that up. This idea of missing something becomes the background noise of your life. It makes you chase more success, more validation, more possessions, more control. But no matter what you achieve, the mind still finds a new thing to fix, a new hole to fill. That's because the root issue isn't what's missing outside. The root issue is the belief that something is missing at all. Park. Once that belief takes root, you'll always be reaching, never arriving. Let's look at it clearly. What is actually missing right now? Not in the imagined future, not in someone else's life, not on a checklist, but in this exact moment. Often the answer, nothing. Run the park, you are breathing, you are aware, you have choices, experiences, memories, wisdom. You have strength that has carried you through every single day so far. And yet, the belief that something essential is absent still lingers. Why? Because we've confused our thoughts with reality. The mind loves to focus on gaps. It says, you're not good enough until, or you can't rest until. These are not facts. These are programs. And they're outdated. You are not a project to be fixed. You are a person to be recognized, understood, and appreciated. Starting by you. When you stop chasing what you think is missing, you create space to discover what's already there. Your peace, your creativity, your grounded self. None of these are things to be found out there. They are waiting quietly underneath the noise of self-doubt. And once you stop feeding the illusion of lack, what's left is clarity. Growth is beautiful. Evolving is natural. But it should come from awareness, not from fear. You don't need to prove you're enough. You need to see that you already are. That's where real transformation begins. Not in becoming someone else, but in becoming more connected with who you've been all along. So the next time you feel something is missing, stop. Ask yourself, what if this is just a thought, not a truth? Because when you truly look, you'll realize there's nothing missing from you. There never was. The belief in lack was the only thing in the way, and the good news is you made that up, which means you can also let it go. Ladies and gentlemen, at some point in your journey through the park, you've probably felt that quiet discomfort, that subtle feeling that something isn't quite complete. Maybe you look around at your life and wonder if you're behind. Maybe you measure your progress against someone else's timeline or compare your inner experience to the outer image others display. The result? Rue the park, a nagging thought that whispers, you're missing something. But here's the deeper truth, the one many never stop to realize. The park. That feeling is not always real. It's a mental illusion, a product of perception, and more often than not, you made that up. We live in a world that constantly reminds us of what we don't have. Advertising, social media, and even casual conversations subtly feed the idea that we're incomplete. The perfect relationship, the ideal body, the dream job, the flawless mindset, all dangled in front of us like keys to a life worth living. And so we begin to chase. We run from one goal to the next park, one version of better to another, rarely pausing to question whether the starting belief that something is missing is even true. But if you strip away all the noise and look honestly at yourself, you begin to see something else. You begin to see that you've always had what matters most, the ability to choose, to grow, to reflect, to feel, to love, to try again. These qualities are not earned. They're inherent. They don't arrive in the future. They're here right now. Running through the park is problem the absence of value in your life. The problem is how little time you spend recognizing it. The mind is designed to scan for problems, but that doesn't mean there is a problem. It only means your thoughts are looking for something to solve. And when they find nothing urgent, they start inventing things, telling you that you should be more, should have more, should feel different. That's not your truth talking. Your mental programming running on autopilot. It's time to interrupt that pattern. Instead of asking, what's missing? Ask, what am I not seeing? Look again. Look closer. You'll find beauty in ordinary moments, strength in past scars, love in quiet corners of your day. Running through the park, you'll realize you've been so busy searching for what's missing that you've overlooked what's present. The sense of lack isn't out there in your life. It's in your awareness, or more accurately, in your misperception. You are not a half-formed version of who you're supposed to be. You are a whole person in motion. You are not late. You are not lost. You are evolving. And evolution not imply absence. It implies presence in transition. The next time you feel that emptiness rise, pause. Take a deep breath. Say to yourself, I made that up. Because you did. You are not missing. You are here. And in this moment, exactly as you are, nothing is missing at all.